Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Adam. This is Vancity Audi, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the TTE777 hybrid turbo from the Turbo Engineers, utilizing Unitronic tuning and 93 octane fuel. I've put some driving on the car now, not a heck of a lot admittedly. It was the winter just recently here in Vancouver and it was pretty ugly and I tucked it away, but I managed to take it out probably a dozen times where I did some spirited back road driving, some cruising, some performance testing. In the last video I shared with you guys was my quarter mile times. So I have a pretty good understanding of how the car is responding and working on this file with this turbo. So if you've watched the channel, you know that I've done a review like this previously on the TTE700. It's gonna sound pretty damn similar, guys. I'll tell you that right off the bat. But let's go for a cruise. I'll talk you through it, tell you what I've enjoyed, what I haven't enjoyed, and the overall impressions I have with this TTE777 hybrid turbo tuned by Unitronic on 93 octane fuel. First thing I'll point out on this setup, ethanol versus 93 octane. I don't know why it is this way, but the startup and the pops and bangs on 93 octane are way louder than E85. I don't know why, but they are more annoying, more pronounced, more ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da, as I'll demonstrate. Just annoying on a whole other level. So if you love douchebag mode, as I call it, this file is most definitely louder when it comes to pops and bangs on startup and when you're driving using 93 octane fuel versus E85. So besides all the popping, besides all the banging, just on everyday standard driving, the rest of the sounds are pretty much identical compared to the 700. Both using 93 octane fuel, you get those loud pops and bangs. On downshifts, they're super loud, really pronounced, and much more noticeable than on E85 on either turbos. So as I found on ethanol with the 777, I'm finding the exact same thing on 93 octane fuel, and that is wastegate rattle. It seems to be slightly improved with the 777 over the 700. I'm not 100% sure why. I wasn't back then and I'm still not. But it seems to be diminished with the 777 compared to the 700 and significantly better than the stock turbo. Now for gas mileage, something that a lot of people that can only use pump gas, because that's all that's available to them, really matters to, or those that want to have additional performance but they don't want to have to dump ethanol in their tank. I am now seeing roughly 280 miles, 450 kilometers to a tank of pump gas on this setup, which is super reasonable. Obviously the mileage plummets when you're stomping on it a lot, but that is a mix of freeway driving and city driving to get that, compared to like 210 miles I think I was getting on E85, which is like 340 kilometers a tank. And then when you're mashing on it, oh my goodness, you go through fuel way worse on ethanol on this turbo than you do using pump gas. Now for something that really affects the daily drivability of a car, a turbocharged car in particular, is the spool of your turbo. When I was on E85, this crap shot off like a rocket. You had so much torque down low because it is specifically tuned for a built motor. To my knowledge, I don't work for Unitronic. I honestly haven't posed this question to them, but I'm fairly certain that this TTE777 calibration on pump gas is also safe for a stock block. The reason why I say that is I've dyno tested it, and I saw significantly lower torque values and a bit later torque, which is the way they tuned the 700 on pump gas, which was completely safe for a stock block. So in terms of spool, it was very similar to the way the 700 responded on pump gas as well. I want to say there was a smidge more delay, a smidge more turbo lag on the 777 compared to the 700 on pump gas. Not a huge difference, but for someone that's super sensitive like me, I feel like there was a little bit more lag on this 777 compared to the 700 using pump gas. Seeing as I just referenced the spool and the difference between the 700 and 777, why don't we go right into the power that we're able to make and the performance that we are able to make. What I'll do right now is I'm going to share with you guys the dyno results that I achieved on this turbo with pump gas on an all-wheel drive dyno using a dyno jet calibration versus my buddy Michael that purchased my old TTE777 all-wheel drive dyno, the exact same one, using the exact same dyno jet calibration. And you can see for yourself just how similar they are in terms of performance, power, torque, and the way they spool. Here are the results of Michael's Unitronic Stage 3 93 octane with that TTE777, 580 wheel horsepower, 506 foot-pounds of torque. There's the graph, there's the curve. Very, very interesting to see this turbo in a different car in the all-wheel drive configuration on this dyno. Here is my pump gas 591 wheel horsepower, 523 foot-pounds of torque. Here are the graphs themselves. You can see the difference in spool. The solid lines here are what we just did with the pump gas. You see what I mean now when I say just how incredibly comparable they are in terms of spool and power, at least on a dyno. I was able to also do quarter-mile testing. If you are a subscriber, if you happen to check out my last video, it was a quarter-mile run on this TTE 777 using pump gas. Those results were incredibly close to what I was able to achieve with the TTE 700 on pump gas. Those dyno results, as similar as they were, you can take into account the fact that they were done on different days. The DA and the temperature when I dynoed my car was much lower than when we dynoed Michael's car. I used different bolt-ons compared to Michael. So all in all, I feel like they are nearly identical, if not identical. Even perhaps in the way they're tuned. The calibration theirself may be identical. Again, I don't work for Unitronic. That is my assumption because of the way they drive, because of the power, because of the feel. But I have to think they're pretty damn close in terms of calibration because the power, the speed, the spool, and the performance overall were extremely, extremely similar. Now to kind of give you a whole summarized wrap up of what I think on the TTE 777 93 octane fuel. It's fantastic. But if you're using a stock block and you never plan on building your motor, I still feel like the 700 is better suited for you. The reason why I say that is Unitronic has a calibration where you can use E85 safely on a stock motor. I don't ever recommend people do that, by the way. If you're gonna use E85 in a hybrid turbo, I highly suggest you build your motor. But for those of you that like to play with fire and take a chance on it, there are a lot of people out there using an E85 tune from Unitronic on the 700 and not having any issues with a stock motor. If you're gonna go built though, and you're gonna go balls out, the TTE 777 hybrid turbo is a better option. You make more power up top, you make more torque up top. Overall, with E85, it's pretty badass. It's a beast mode turbo. Then, when you want to go back to pump gas, or if all you have available to you is pump gas, you can switch over and comfortably run it without issue. But again, if you're just going to be using a stock block, I don't necessarily think that you should go with this turbo because I think the 700 will perform better if you're just staying unbuilt. If you're building it, 777 wicked turbo. I'm very, very happy Unitronic decided to make this tune. I did not think they were going to. My previous video stated that I chose the 700 over the TTE 777 because of the fact they did not have a pump gas file. Now one is available. I've been enjoying it all winter and enabled me to go drive around and have some nice spirited drives when it was a beautiful day in the winter here in Vancouver. Now the spring is here though. I am super excited to get this car off of pump gas and back on E85 beast mode style. I want to see how quick and how fast I can go this year on this turbo now that we think we have it fully dialed. 100% transparency and honesty as always. My last review on this turbo on E85, I don't think I was getting everything I could out of this turbo. And I feel like that's why my opinion swayed more towards the 700 and not the 777. Now that we have this thing running as we think it should, we're confident that on E85, we're gonna make more power, we're gonna be able to go quicker, go faster, and set some new personal bests. There it is, guys. Thank you again for watching. I always appreciate your guys' time. I hope you enjoyed this review of the TTE 777 utilizing Unitronic software on 93 octane fuel. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.